Sorry for the delay. Had one of those little technical things where I had moved the screen and wasn't able to see the go live button. So, welcome to the Positive Power Hour. My host, Nicole, co
Hi,
host, I guess I
everybody.
should say, right? Hi, everybody. Go ahead, Nick. Give him a
Hi
good old
there. How you doing?
Good to have everybody here. We're looking for comments in our comment section to see who all is joining us tonight. And there we got Kimberlyn, yay, and Melinda, yay, and
Hi,
Cheryl's there,
Cheryl. Hi,
yay.
Melinda. Hi,
Yeah,
Kimberly.
very nice. Welcome everybody. Glad that you're here tonight. And as we start most of our broadcasts, we have no idea what we're going to talk about tonight. So it's always interesting to see how the broadcast goes and what develops as we go along. But one of the first things I wanted to start with tonight is that Saturday was my lovely wife Kate's birthday. And one of the things that I started with Kate in the very beginning was the understanding that you have to celebrate every time you can. And absolutely celebrating things like birthdays and vacations and anniversaries and Friday and Saturday and Monday and just everything that you can celebrate, right? It's about making every aspect of your life positive. And I love spending money with
Aw,
Monday was with you guys. Hey, we love having you here too.
celebrate.
Yes, celebrate. Absolutely. And it reminds me, I know I've shared this before, but it reminds me of the time I was in the Costco in Elsinore. And I'm walking past the mobile phone stand, and the guy, of course, is trying to greet everybody and get them to come in and buy a phone, of course. And he says, "So how's your day going?" I said, "Great. I've been having a party in my mind all day." And he just looked at me for a minute, right? And he went, "Wow, that's an interesting idea." And I said, "Yeah, there's no thought police. I'm allowed to think whatever I want, right?" And I share that with you guys all the time. There's no thought police. I'm allowed to have whatever kind of thought I want to have. So why not have a positive thought? Why not have a moment of joy? Just the fact that, excuse me, we're alive and everything's good. And at this very moment, nothing is wrong. And the truth of the matter is, we have far many moments when there's absolutely nothing wrong compared to the times where we might have something going on in our life, right? So, what's the best way of getting through those tough times? Well, if we can remember that 98% of the time everything is going great in our life, then the 2% isn't so hard to get through. But if we're one of those people that, like I've talked before about asking people how their day's going, and they say, "Oh, I'm having a horrible day." And I'll say, "Really? The whole day?" It's never a whole day. It's a moment within a day. And usually it's just a few minutes within a day. And who was it that was telling us about how long a moment lasts? Do you remember that? That was
Garrett.
you. Tell
Yeah,
us that
Garrett.
again.
Yeah. So a moment is 90 seconds. And I believe there's 960 moments or 940, something like that, in a day.
So
So
in
if
the
one or
overall
two is bad, you
in the
still have
overall scheme of the day, it's
938.
no time at all, right?
Right.
Excellent, excellent. And I want to get something else out of the way because I know it's going to bug someone I know very dearly the rest of the day. And that is that Nicole's sweating like crazy because she cooked a meatloaf tonight and it's got her sweating like the dickons. And so if you
Sorry,
see her
guys.
shiny face, just recognize it's because she was cooking tonight. All right.
I have the fan blowing right on me, but I don't know, whatever.
Yeah.
My kids are going to be sad because they missed meatloaf.
Please
Please
share.
share.
Because you didn't give me any.
I told you.
And guys, if you could do me a favor and put some hearts or happy faces or something out there on your comments, that would let people know that you're all participating and having fun. And for those of you that are joining us on replays, let us know that you're visiting us on replay so we know you're there as well. All right. we're welcome to have everybody here that can be here. It's, the whole idea is just kind of a refresh to start the week off, to remember where we want to be, not where we've been, and to reset everything and get into that positive frame that makes you feel good and everybody around you feel good. I can tell you from personal experiences, it's awesome when you walk into a room and you know that you lit the room up.
That's right.
Nicole does it all the time. In fact, everyone on this call does it all the time. Question is, are you aware of it, right? Because if you are aware of it, then you have a lot more positive power.
That's right.
How's that for using a phrase, huh?
Positive power.
Positive
I
power.
had a great conversation with Melinda today, and hopefully she'll share with us her day, because what I heard this young woman say is, the positive that came out of this, and she gave me all the negatives and then the positive that came out of it. So hopefully she'll share that with us. I don't want to share her business, but
Yeah,
it was some good stuff. Sorry.
And remember that when you share, you don't know who's reading it tonight, right? Or who's reading it next week or next month or next year, that you might change that person's entire life just by something that you share. So let's give it up. Let's get to laughing. Yes, absolutely. Laughing feels a lot better than crying does. That's for sure. And what else did I see here that I wanted to comment on? Mondays don't have to suck. Absolutely true. In fact, no day has to suck, right? Every single day can be an awesome day. Doesn't mean we don't have moments, right? But a moment is how long, Nicole?
90 seconds.
90 seconds, right? So if I have to suck for 90 seconds, so be it. I'll take it. Ain't no big deal, right?
Hey, you and I have, 58 and a half minutes left.
There you go. The pure joy. And I'm also a firm believer that having a positive attitude and really cementing that positive habit, because it does take practice, it takes work. My dear grandson, Jose, said to me not long ago, he said, I know that you had to work really hard to get where you're at. Well, we all do, or it doesn't happen. It's like I mentioned to somebody that, I don't know what it was that I did to piss God off, but I must have really, really made him angry because he gave me nothing. I can't dance. I can't sing. I can't. I have no athletic ability whatsoever. Yeah, right. And
play the violin for Papa today.
And someone I said that to said, well, it must have meant you didn't want it hard enough. And I went, oh, that's an interesting comment, right? And it made me think of my great grandson, who is such an athletic young man, but works really hard at it too, right? It doesn't happen just because you have athleticism. You have to apply it and use it and do it.
Absolutely.
And it's true with everything, even being positive. It takes work because the mind always wants to go to the negative. It's the way we allowed it to go. And when we're babies, we don't fall down when we're trying to learn how to stand up. We don't fall down and yell and scream at ourselves. We might yell and scream, but it's not at ourselves. And they don't cuss themselves out because they fell. So that self-abuse that we've all learned to give ourselves was a learned condition. We taught it to ourselves. Not even our parents taught us to do that. Where did we get that was what we needed to do? Oh, here's the story. Let's all read the story. We'll get back to my stuff later. My car did not want to start this morning, so I was late for work. Now, was it that your car didn't want to or that it didn't start? But Cheryl let me use her car. Our AC is broken at work and had to pack 13 boxes with psoriatic arthritis. The boxes had psoriatic arthritis?
Just read the story.
My hands are swollen and in pain. But I got a text message from Nissan that my car was being serviced. Cheryl took my car in to get the battery fixed free of charge, and they did an oil change and washed my car. It made me feel so much better. How about that? And
Yeah.
I'm so sorry to hear about the arthritis. I didn't know. I thought that the only way you had psoriatic arthritis was if you had psoriasis, but maybe that's not the case. Either way, I'm sorry that your hands are swollen and in pain, but I'm glad that they fixed your car and that made you feel better. Awesome stuff. And thank you for sharing that with all of us. I appreciate it. All right.
Yeah,
So
and as she was going through it, there was no attitude or boo-hoo. It was like, and the positive that came out of this
very
was,
good. Very good.
yeah,
So Melly, you're training yourself to look for the positive in every situation, right? That's what we're talking about here, is that we can all do that. It's just that, just like me not putting much energy into being an athlete because I have no athletic ability, we all have to do that same thing about our mind. We have to train it to think the way we want it to think, to remember, yes, I'm trying. It's hard, but I'm trying. Okay. So that reminds me of, yeah, I know you
I
you know
know what you're
exactly where
gonna
I'm
say.
going, don't you?
I know.
Trying is like being a little bit pregnant. You can't be a little bit pregnant. So, yes, I'm doing it better and better all the time. Hear the difference
Working
in that
towards,
compared to your statement, right?
working towards it,
Atta girl.
practicing.
That's
Yep.
right. That's right. I am making the effort to correct that behavior.
Yep.
And it really is about us all taking responsibility, right? It's like, I work at Best Buy. And it's interesting to me how many people think that they have a right to abuse the people that work in retail stores. Is it that they think they're better than the people that work in retail, or is it just that they're just so frustrated with things in their life? I don't know. And I don't really want to give it a whole lot of energy. But here's what I did notice. Two things, two examples I had this week. One, I came in and I was really up and really happy, and I was getting ready to start my day, and I'm walking down the aisle, and I noticed this woman in a wheelchair to my right. And she yells out, "Are you going to help me?" And I stopped and I looked at her, and I just paused for a minute. And I said, "Yes, how can I help you today?" "Well, all these kids around here are terrible. No one's going to help me." I said, "Ma'am, I'm here to help you. How can I help you?" "Well, I'm looking for a printer. I want you to take me over to a printer and put it in my lap." "Okay, ma'am." So I took her wheelchair and I didn't even throw it across the room. I just gently walked her down the aisle, and she took me to the
And pushed her.
and pushed her. And I got her to the printer she was looking at, and she said, "Okay, just put it in my lap and bring me back to the checkout stand." Well, it's a pretty good box, and she's 70s, right? So, "Ma'am, let me do this. Let me take you up to the checkout stand and leave you with the cashier, and I'll go back and get the printer and bring it in another cart, and then I'll bring you out to your car, and I'll bring the printer after I get you to the car." "Oh, that'd be wonderful. Thank you so much." So that's what we did. We took care of the cashier, and I started to bring her out, and one of the other young ladies that works in the store said, "Dan, let me help. I'll take the printer. You can bring her out." And as we're walking out to her car, she's still commenting on all the hateful young children that don't pay any attention to this old folks, and what's the matter with this generation. And she's just so angry, right? And it reminded me that I have no control over her emotions, but I do have control over mine. So I need to practice how I want to respond to somebody like that. rather than the way I could have done it, which would have been, you know what, ma'am, let me get somebody that can help you and turn it over to somebody else, being probably the second best way I could have handled the situation. But on the way to the car, she said, you know, you've been a real ray of sunshine in my day. And I thought, well, that's nice, right? But you know, I see somebody like that who is obviously very bitter about more than just the fact that she felt neglected in a Best Buy. She must feel that way about a lot of things in her life. And what a sad, lonely existence she has allowed her mind to put her in, to where everything she sees is negative and everyone that she sees is bad and all of that kind of stuff, rather than, you know, being happy, joyous, and free, right? So that was the first thing that I recognized, was how I had an opportunity to respond in a positive way if I would just take a moment and not respond the way I could have. And probably not that long ago would have, right? So, but that's retail. You get those kinds of things all the time. There's just amazing on a daily basis how many people come in and are rude and crude and just not nice. So my message for everybody watching today, whether you're live or on the recording, is be nice. That's what being human is all about. It's recognizing the humanness in each of us. Like me recognizing the humanness in a woman who is bitter and probably lonely and probably disappointed in herself and in her life, probably, for all I know, right?
Excuse me.
And, you know, it reminds me of a post that I see all the time that talks about, you aren't walking in that person's shoes. You have no idea what they've been through or what they're going through. So be kind to them. Be gentle to them. You have no idea what is going on. The video is frozen. Is that on my side or both sides, Melly? We'll wait for her response. But it must be my side. I called the technicians in this week and they found a problem in a wire down the street from us, and they said they fixed it. So we'll have to see what's going on. Both, it paused for a while.
Okay, maybe we're back.
All right. Well, we'll figure it out. I'll get them back on the phone tomorrow and we see what we can work out on it. I'll get it fixed one way or the other. So that's the upstreaming still. All right. So anyway, that was my, yes, you're back. Oh, that's good. I'm glad we're back. Hey. Technology. It's always wonderful when it works. Not so much when it doesn't, right? So that was my thought about that young lady. And then was it the next day? Next day I went to work. I walked in, and one of the leads decides he's going to walk back to the warehouse with me and teach me how to sell better. That I need to have zero, what he said, no more zeros. A zero is when you sell like a computer to somebody and you don't sell shopping cart things like maybe a router or a printer or something else with it. And so we want no more zeros. Well, I happen to be the second highest salesperson in the store. And I can always learn more. And no matter how good of a salesperson you are, there are going to be people that just want what they want. And that's it. And when you push hard on those people, they usually give you the giant FU and walk out of the store. So I think you got to call your battles, right? But for me, what I had to look at was how I felt about the way he was talking to me. Because my ego says, well, I'm the number 2 salesperson, right? I don't need any information from him. And who the heck is he to tell me, right? And I had to, I thought about it for a while and I laughed at myself and I'm like, God damn, little ego there, right? Just listen to what he has to say And if it fits, use it. If it doesn't, discard it. Either way, it's up to me whether I decide to make it an issue and ruin my day, or if I'm going to take it and use it in a way that benefits me, the customers, and the store. So which way is better? The second way, I
Listen.
think,
Yeah. Listen.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And so that's what I did. Was I went up to him later and said, "Hey, thanks for the feedback today. I'm definitely going to use that, and thanks, and a much better outcome than if I had a chip on my shoulder and kind of gave them the FU, without actually giving them the FU." So both of those things were examples for me about how I can take a moment to think about a reaction that I'm having, because it really, in this way, it really is all about us. It's about how we respond to things, not about him, not about her. Those people are doing what they're going to do. But how I look at it and how I respond to it, is it in a positive way that's going to make me a better man and make the day a better situation for everybody involved? Or am I going to be an egotistical little a-hole and ruin everybody's day, especially mine? But it takes that moment of pause, right? And that self-reflection to say, wait a minute, that's my ego talking. And stop that before I do something destructive to myself and to the other people involved. So it takes that moment, just a moment. Am I going to say what I want to say, or am I going to think about it and determine what's going to be a more positive way? They didn't know what I was going through. They didn't know what my reactions were to their behaviors, right? They probably didn't notice a single thing at all, but I did. So that to me is growth. That to me tells me that I'm paying attention more, and I want to be, I always say that my goal every single day is to be better than I was yesterday. And some days I backslide, I'm sure. I'm human. I make mistakes. I forget.
What?
I know,
You're
right?
human?
Shocking, isn't it? So how about you guys? Anybody there have that, catch yourself time where you just kind of take a look and go, wait a minute, this isn't the way I want to think, and this isn't the way I want to feel. Let me change that.
I
And
get that opportunity every day.
yeah. Well, we all have the opportunities, right?
Yeah.
It's whether we choose to
Especially
exercise them or not.
Especially if you're in a relationship, you live with others, you work with others,
Yeah.
like there's always opportunities to practice,
Yeah.
and like you said, I don't always do it perfect, but
None of us
it's
do.
way better than it was, right? And I'm
Right.
progressing through the process.
Yep.
And some days I hit it spot on, and way to go, right?
Yeah.
But
And do you give yourself atta girls when you do that, right?
Yeah, because then I'm not having to clean up stuff.
Well, that's the thing is,
I'm
the
lazy.
better you get at it, the less wreckage you have to clean up, right?
Yeah,
And
I'm lazy.
yeah, not only
I
that, but I really don't like it when I hurt somebody's feelings.
Yeah, for sure.
It always makes me feel awful when I say something out of ego or anger, frustration, or whatever. When I say something, and I'll do it from time to time. I remember a kid said something and I just kind of recoiled. And rather than just going, oh, okay, just go on, I had to say a little something, right? And as I walked away, I went, Dan, why'd you do that? You didn't need to do that. He doesn't even know what he's doing, right? So it's about, and that's that, we always talk about, well, it's not all about you. Well, in many ways, it really is, because the actors in our life are all playing their parts, and they're playing them perfectly. It's how we choose to play our part that makes the big difference. And I'd much rather be an asset than an ass. Yeah. And Kimberlyn says, yep, all the time. Get those moments, right? Yeah. And
Yeah.
we all do.
And
So
Melly said that Aurora is watching. In
I
fact,
know. How about that?
yeah, in fact, one week she said, when we're on the power hour, Aurora is my granddaughter. It's Melinda's baby.
Yes.
She's 5 months old.
It's amazing.
And I know, and she's so beautiful, but
She
she
really
hears
is.
our voices and she gets calmer. I love that.
How nice is that, right?
I was FaceTiming with her the other day and I stopped talking, or I muted on accident, and she started crying.
Oh, because she could see your face but couldn't hear you talking, huh?
Yeah.
How sweet,
Must
right?
have been scary for her just to see Nana.
Well, that's why I haven't FaceTimed with her, because I don't want to scare her.
Aw.
She is a beautiful baby, without a doubt. All right. So, how about it, guys? I'm looking for some comments here. Have we got anybody that had that pause or recognized a situation that happened to them this week where maybe a pause would have been a good thing that you didn't exercise? And at least gives you that reflection to say, okay, next time I'm going to handle that a little differently, right?
I definitely had that moment this week while people are putting it in. I'll just tell myself,
Go
I
ahead.
just didn't take the pause and I spoke my beautiful thoughts in a loud way.
And how did that work out?
It didn't. I went to the pool and swam a couple laps and got the frustration out and came back and went, sorry.
And when you look back on it, was the frustration more with yourself or was it with somebody else? She's not going to answer that. Huh?
We're frozen, right?
No.
It was with someone else.
Yeah. But when upon reflection, who were you frustrated with?
Someone else.
Okay. All right. I'll let you hold that one for now.
But I got through it. And, it's just another opportunity to grow, and
Yeah.
even though I was frustrated, I didn't need to voice it loudly in front of others.
Well, and the reality is that, again, the players are going to play their roles. They're going to do exactly what they're going to do, right? And they do. And then we get frustrated when they do. It's like we should have known that was the way it was going to go, right? And
Well, I was always taught to learn how to play well in your own playground.
yeah.
And I didn't play too well.
Yeah.
I'm human.
And in all my years of managing people, I learned that you had to be diplomatic and say things in a way that gets the point across without being too harsh. And most of the time I'm pretty good at it. But like everybody else, I have my moments, all right? And I'm grateful for having that. And part of what that taught me was to take that moment to think about what I'm about to say. Is it going to be constructive or destructive? And how can I construct it in a way that's constructive? Not always fast, not always easy, not always perfect, right? Sometimes I'll walk away going, oh, God, Dan. And most of the time, I'm humble enough to go back and say, you know what, I'm really sorry. I didn't handle that very well. Upon reflection, I really could have handled that better. And then have a dialogue about it, right? And to me, that's about being human. That's about being humble enough to admit when I'm wrong, to admit when I can do better, and strive to do that. Not always perfect at it. That self abusiveness that we all have to some degree or another will kick in and say, oh, the way you handle that, right? But I do my best to make them just moments, which is how long, Nicole?
90 seconds.
90 seconds. Okay. So maybe sometimes half a moment of, I wish I'd have handled that one a little better. But again, the overall effect of doing those things makes for a much smoother life and much more enjoyable. As a matter of fact, I'll tell one more story about that. I was on a break at work the other day, and we wear these mics where we can have conversation between different associates in the store. And I usually take my earbud out when I'm on my break because I don't want to listen to all that stuff when I'm on my break, right? That's my time. But I hear, Dan, are you there? Dan, are you there? And I thought, oh gosh, I better answer that. And the woman says, yeah, there's somebody waiting here to see you. I said, all right, well, I'm finishing on my break. I'll be in there in a minute. And it turned out that the woman who was waiting to see me was the she was the boss of my boss's boss. So she's quite a ways up in the food chain at Best Buy. And she wanted to see me because she had been told by this manager in the store that my positive attitude and my cheerfulness has had an impact on everyone in the store, customers and team members alike. And they gave me a gift card, which we used for our birthday celebration, right? And it was again a reminder that we don't always know how we impact others. So the more we're aware of it, the more powerful it becomes. And she said, you really need to take a look at all the opportunities that are in Best Buy because we have positions that would be much better fitted, much better suited for you than just working in a store. I thought, wow, that's really nice. So I have to give that some energy and see where that goes, right? So again, it was a reminder to be positive, to be up, to care about people. One of the things.
Attaboy.
Yeah, attaboy for me, right? But, one of the things that I practiced in this job I'm in now was in my old job where I traveled from store to store to store from San Diego up to Yucaipa, was I'd only spend maybe 2.5 hours in a store, most of it in the printer aisle or in the computer aisle, talking to a couple of customers, maybe talking to a store rep or two, and then leave and then go to the next store. So there isn't much time to really create relationships that way. But, when you do it for 12 years, repetitively, you tend to build that, right? But now that I'm in one store all the time, I'm able to really use my personality, the way I care about the customers and really take some time to see how they're doing and what's going on in their life. And it creates a better relationship between the store and the customer. It makes them feel when they walk out that somebody really cared about what it is they came in for and really gave them good service to get it. Well, that's a positive, and it creates a ripple effect of positivity, right? So I've been noticing how much more open I've become to expressing my beliefs and my stories. I share a lot of the same stories I share with all of you, with customers and associates, right? And the positive feedback. They're all like, "Oh, that's a wonderful story. I'm really glad you shared it," right, or whatever. So it's I just share those things for you to recognize the gifts that you all have, right? It's because when you realize how much of an impact you have on the people in your life, you'll be amazed at how much stronger that impact becomes. And I'll always be grateful to the people in my life who pointed those things out to me, who said, Dan, do you realize that every time you walk into your dad's house, he becomes alive and he gets up and he's doing things and he may have been laying on the couch for an hour or two, and the minute you walk in, he's up and wants to do things, right? And that I lit up rooms when I walked in, like I've told you, Nicole, you do that, right? You've got that same thing, and knowing it makes a big difference. So again, I'm grateful for all the people that shared that with me.
Yes.
Another moment. Does that mean we froze again, Kimberlyn?
It's been up there for a few minutes. I think it was in regards to me being able to try better in another moment. I think
Okay. That's nice.
maybe that's what it was.
Another
Oh,
moment,
no.
another moment. No, no. Well,
No, we're
which
not
one was it?
froze.
Yeah, she'll
Yeah.
answer. For Mama,
For
yes.
Mama.
See, Mama always knows, right? Mama always knows.
I just knew because, you know, you just, you know, yep, you get opportunities.
Get opportunities every
Yeah,
day.
and it's more in the practice. And I love what you said about the ripple effect, because really it's in ripple effect in regards to positivity, but it can also be in regards to negativity. So, like,
Yes.
so what do we want to throw out there? Like Garrett always talks about, my husband always talks about, like, farming 101. If you don't like radishes, why the hell are you going to plant radishes? you know
Yeah. Yeah.
or if you love watermelon, go plant a bunch of watermelon, and just plant good stuff in your life. And for me, it really does come down to, like, just doing good no matter where you are, who you're around. It can always help, by just a smile, open of the door. Hey, have a great day. you know how's your day going? Good morning.
Yeah. Yeah.
Those sorts of things.
Well, a spiritual teacher mentioned to me that in his opinion, the greatest sin is hurting someone else's feelings. And when I first heard that, I thought, big deal, right? But the more you think about it, you start to realize that, just like you were saying, if you like watermelon, plant watermelon, right? If you like feel good, then why are you doing things that make people feel bad? Why are you doing things that make you feel bad? It's like I say all the time, I'm a feel-good junkie, right? It's why I loved women. I loved alcohol. I love drugs. I love sex. I love food. I love anything that makes me feel good, right? And so I had to learn that, feeling good had to be in moderation as well. There were things that I would do in my past that maybe made me feel good for a moment, but it caused a lot of pain for other people. And as you become more aware, as I guess the political correctness word is woke, right? The more you become woke, you get to realize that calling people bad names and reflecting on their heritage and their sexuality or whatever the comments are that you make that are harmful, how is that helping anybody? How is that making them happier or more joyous or more industrious in their life, right? How is that motivational? I just don't, it just doesn't work. So yes, that feel good. I want to plant more feel good. It's like one of my favorite things to do is to notice people's smiles. And of course, my daughter has a beautiful smile, right? And smiles are a gift we get from God that just keeps giving. And it creates such an abundance of positivity. The more you smile, the more you affect everybody around you in a positive way. And so I'll comment on somebody, whether it's a man or a woman, I'll just say, you have just an amazing smile. And I'm glad, and you use it all the time, don't you? And of course, nobody uses it all the time. But if I say that, they're going to think about that more. And I'll just remind them that, yes, using a smile is the greatest gift that God can give us and that we can give to God's children. Is a smile. It costs us nothing, but it gives so much. I can't be, huh?
I
You
remember
got a comment.
a saying from Steel Magnolias. I don't know if you remember this, but
Oh, of course.
smile, it increases your face value.
And Cheryl agrees. Yep. Yep. Yeah, and when I smile, I feel better. But I know that when I smile, I also make other people feel better. So let's let's resolve this week to smile more and frown less. To take that moment when you're thinking about a comment you'd like to make about somebody and take that pause, that moment. How long's a moment, Nicole?
90 seconds. You get to
90
practice,
seconds.
practice, practice.
Yeah, to just say, wait a minute, is that my ego talking? And how can I turn this into a positive for myself and everyone around me? I knew a guy, his name's Frank, just a wonderful human being. And when he was put in a stressful situation and had to comment on something, he would literally bite his lip for a few minutes until he came up with a thought that was going to be constructive. Because you could just feel the wheels turning, right? And he's like, and he would do that until he could come up with that positive thought and comment that would be constructive in a positive way. And I admired him for that because I didn't always have that restraint of tongue. I would just comment on something and regret it later, of course, right?
We
So
get to
for this
practice different.
practice different. It's kind of like Shaquille O'Neal is an incredible basketball player, right? Huge center, and he was called the Diesel because he could just run through a whole team, and he couldn't shoot a free throw to save his tuchus. And he would comment about the fact that he would practice and practice and practice, and he could make 100 of them in practice, but then as soon as he got in the game, he'd miss it, right? And Phil Jackson, I believe, maybe it was somebody else, commented on the fact that if you practice imperfection, you're going to have an imperfect free throw. So you have to practice perfect to create perfect, right? Mm-hmm. So, and we love your beautiful smile too. It's from Kimberlyn. And I know she was talking about you, Nicole.
I think it says smiles.
Oh, well, see, there you go. All right. So for the next 7 days, your homework assignment is to be even more positive. Pay attention to those moments when you would normally say something that you would regret, to pause for that moment.
90 seconds.
90 seconds and frame it in a positive.
And let's share about it. Let's hear about what
let us hear about your successes. All right.
Yes.
This stuff is working for you guys. I had a comment from somebody from Melinda, who's not on the call tonight yet, but she commented on what a difference it makes for her to hear our call each week.
Oh.
And that's nice. That's the kind of feedback we need to know that we're making a difference for everybody, right? Because that's all I care about. I don't care about a single thing other than all of you guys living the kind of lives you really want to live. And I know that a lot of what I talk about works because I had to do it too. Everybody does. So for the week, your homework assignment is to pause just a
moment,
which is
90 seconds.
90 seconds. Think about those times when you do that. Report back to us next week that, what experience you had that did that. And I want you all to practice smiling and notice other people's smiles and comment on them. And see what you know. And
we'll celebrate. Let's
celebrate.
Yes,
absolutely. Yeah.
I keep threatening to get some pom-poms. Hasn't happened yet, but.
Well, you never know. All right. So until next week, we love you all as well. And we miss you all and look forward to seeing you soon. And for those of you that watch the rebroadcast, we love you too, even if we don't know who you are yet. And it's just the end, right? All right, guys. See you next time. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.